This is what it looks like when the government turns food assistance into a surveillance system. 42 million Americans receive food stamps. That is 1 in 8 people in this country. Parents feeding their children, seniors stretching fixed incomes, working families who earn too little to cover groceries. Now the administration wants their data, all of it. Names, addresses, social security numbers, immigration status, not to help them, to track them. You thought food stamps were about preventing hunger. You thought the government would not weaponize nutrition assistance against vulnerable people. You were wrong. In this special report, we are going to break down how SNAP has become a tool of surveillance and control. We are going to show you how the administration is using food assistance to hunt immigrants. We are going to expose the restrictions that tell poor people what they can and cannot eat. And we are going to explain why this is really about the 2026 midterms. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, is the largest food assistance program in the country. It serves over 42 million people across all 50 states. The program works through an electronic benefit card that functions like a debit card. Recipients receive a monthly allotment based on household size and income. They use the card to buy food at authorized retailers. Simple, effective. It reduces hunger. It supports children's development. It helps families stay fed during hard times. The administration wants to change that. In her letter to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Pam Bondi demanded that the state share all of Minnesota's records on Medicaid and food and nutrition service programs, including Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program data, with the federal government. This was not a polite request. It came the same day federal agents shot and killed a Minneapolis nurse. It came with implicit threats about ending the chaos in Minnesota. Give us the data on who receives food stamps, and maybe we will stop the occupation. Vice President J.D. Vance explained the purpose explicitly. What we would like to do is talk to local officials and say, according to the Medicaid rolls, where was the last address this person was domiciled? Or, according to a SNAP application, maybe that could give us insight into where this person is today. They want SNAP data to find people, to locate them, to target them for immigration enforcement. This is not about fraud prevention. This is about using food assistance as a tracking database for ICE. Minnesota is not unique. The Department of Agriculture has demanded that states turn over personal information about SNAP recipients. More than 20 states have refused. They refuse because they know what the data will be used for. They refuse because they understand that turning food assistance into a surveillance tool will prevent eligible people from applying. If you are an immigrant and you know that applying for food stamps might get you deported, you will not apply. Your children will go hungry. Your family will suffer. But at least you will not be tracked. This is the chilling effect. It is deliberate. It is the point. The restrictions on what people can buy are spreading. 18 states have received federal waivers allowing them to ban the use of SNAP benefits for sodas and other foods deemed unhealthy. 11 more states are in line for similar waivers. On the surface, this sounds reasonable. Why should taxpayers subsidize junk food? Why not encourage healthier choices? But the implementation reveals the true purpose. These restrictions do not come with increased benefits to buy healthier food. They do not come with investments in food deserts where fresh produce is unavailable. They do not come with nutrition education or support. They come with surveillance, every purchase tracked, every item scrutinized, every choice judged. When you are poor, you lose the right to make your own decisions about what to eat. The government decides for you. Your EBT card becomes a monitoring device that records your compliance. Meanwhile, no one tells wealthy people they cannot buy soda with their tax refunds. No one restricts what foods you can purchase with mortgage interest deductions. The surveillance is only for the poor. This is part of Secretary Kennedy's Make America Healthy Again agenda. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Health and Human Services Secretary, has made restricting food choices a signature issue. He has pushed for bans on processed foods, limitations on sugary drinks, and what he calls common sense restrictions on unhealthy eating. But common sense looks different depending on your income. If you are wealthy, you can choose to eat organic produce from farmers markets. You can afford grass-fed beef and wild-caught salmon. Your choices are celebrated as wellness. If you are poor, your choices are restricted by government mandate. Your compliance is enforced through benefit denial. Your autonomy is stripped away because you had the misfortune of needing help. The fluoride restrictions reveal the ideological agenda. Utah and Florida have enacted bans on fluoride in drinking water. Many more states have introduced similar bills. This has nothing to do with SNAP directly, but it shows the pattern. The administration is willing to override scientific consensus, to reject decades of public health evidence, to pursue ideological goals regardless of consequences. Fluoridated water prevents tooth decay. The American Dental Association supports it. The CDC calls it one of the greatest public health achievements of the 20th century, but Kennedy believes it is harmful. And so states are removing it, and dental health outcomes will suffer, and the people most affected will be those who cannot afford regular dental care. The poor, the vulnerable, the same people who rely on SNAP. The data demands connect to the broader surveillance apparatus. Attorney General Bondi demanded voter rolls in the same letter that demanded SNAP data. Vice President Vance explained how welfare data could be used to track immigrants. The Department of Justice is suing states for voter information. DOG accessed Social Security data and shared it with election deniers. This is not a series of unrelated incidents. This is a coordinated effort to build databases that connect food assistance to immigration status to voting records. If you receive SNAP and you are not a citizen, you can be found. If you receive SNAP and you vote, your eligibility can be questioned. If you receive SNAP at all, your information feeds into systems designed to monitor and control. The old welfare state was about providing assistance. The new welfare state is about providing surveillance. The work requirements compound the problem. The same one big beautiful bill that cut Medicaid also tightened SNAP requirements. Recipients now face more frequent eligibility checks, more documentation demands, more opportunities to lose benefits through paperwork errors. When you combine data sharing with increased verification, you create a system that punishes people for seeking help. Every application becomes a risk. Every renewal becomes an obstacle. Every benefit received becomes evidence that can be used against you. Participation rates will drop, not because need decreased, because fear increased, because the cost of applying became too high. Children will go hungry, not because there is no food, because their parents are afraid. The fraud justification does not withstand scrutiny. The administration cites the Feeding Our Future scandal in Minnesota, where 78 people were charged with stealing approximately $250 million from a child nutrition program during the pandemic. This was real fraud, it was discovered, it was prosecuted, the system worked. But the response is not to improve fraud detection. It is to demand data on all 42 million SNAP recipients nationwide. It is to treat everyone who needs food assistance as a potential criminal. If your neighbor committed burglary, should the police search your house? If one restaurant failed a health inspection, should every restaurant be shut down? Punishing millions for the crimes of dozens is not fraud prevention. It is collective punishment. The immigrant targeting is the clearest example. Bondi's letter specifically mentions allegations of fraud related to immigrants of Somali descent. This is not subtle. This is explicitly using SNAP as a tool to target a specific ethnic community. Minneapolis has a significant Somali American population. Many are citizens. Many are legal residents. Many are refugees who fled war and persecution. They are being told, through policy and rhetoric, that seeking food assistance makes them targets, that feeding their children puts them at risk, that the price of hunger relief is surveillance. This is how you drive vulnerable populations underground. This is how you create a class of people too afraid to interact with any government system. This is how you ensure that hunger increases while on paper demand for assistance decreases. The administration can then claim success. Look, SNAP enrollment is down. Dependency is decreasing. The program is more efficient. They will not mention the children who are not eating. They will not mention the families hiding from the government that is supposed to serve them. They will not mention that the reduction came not from reduced need, but from increased fear. The states are fighting back. More than 20 states have refused to share SNAP data with the federal government. They cite privacy laws. They cite the chilling effect. They cite the basic principle that food assistance should help people, not track them. But the administration has leverage. Federal funding, regulatory authority, the ability to make life difficult for states that do not comply. The lawsuits are ongoing. The pressure is constant. The outcome is uncertain. What can you do? If you need food assistance, you should apply. The program still exists. The benefits still help. Do not let fear prevent you from feeding your family. If you are concerned about data sharing, ask your state representatives what protections exist. Demand that your state refuse to share SNAP data with immigration enforcement. Make your voice heard. If you vote, remember what is happening. Remember that an administration that claims to care about families is making it harder for families to eat. Remember that an administration that claims to care about children is building systems that will cause children to go hungry. 42 million Americans rely on SNAP. They are your neighbors, your coworkers, your family members. They are people who need help in a country that can afford to provide it. They are not criminals. They are not fraudsters. They are not acceptable losses in an immigration crackdown. They are Americans, and they deserve to eat without being tracked. The government has turned food into a weapon. The surveillance state now knows what you had for dinner. Welcome to Nutrition Enforcement. The Arc of Food Assistance tells a story about what kind of country America wants to be. Food stamps were created during the Great Depression, when hunger was visible on every street corner. The program expanded during the 1960s war on poverty, when America decided that no one should go hungry in the richest country on earth. For decades, there was bipartisan consensus that feeding people was a basic function of government, that preventing childhood hunger was an investment in the future, that dignity meant not having to choose between eating and paying rent. That consensus is breaking down. The new approach treats food assistance as a privilege to be earned rather than a right to be protected. It treats recipients as suspects to be monitored rather than citizens to be helped. It treats the program as a tool of control rather than a mechanism of support. This is not about saving money. The surveillance systems cost more to implement than they save in prevented fraud. The data sharing creates security risks that outweigh any benefits. This is about ideology. The belief that poverty is a moral failing. The belief that the poor cannot be trusted to make their own decisions. The belief that assistance should come with conditions and surveillance. It is also about politics. The midterms are coming. The administration needs to show results on immigration. If SNAP data helps them find people to deport, they will use it. The collateral damage to millions of families is acceptable. The children who go hungry because their parents were afraid to apply. The seniors who skip meals because their benefits were cut. The working families who fall through the cracks of a system designed to exclude them. They are not collateral damage. They are the target. The government has turned food into a weapon. The surveillance state now knows what you had for dinner. Welcome to Nutrition Enforcement.